Welcome back to the Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I've got an ongoing series that I absolutely love called the Price of ADHD Business. It's our series on the economic and social implications of the way we treat ADHD. And we partnered with a great group called CAOOY.org. Frank Granett, a pharmacist and really a specialist when it comes to talking about the treatment of ADHD. He partners with us. Tell us a little bit about our series and then a little bit about CAOOY before you introduce our guest. Frank?
Yeah, great to be on again, Kevin. And CAOOY is Coalition Against Over-Medicating Our Youth. And, Kevin, since we started our programming, we brought on prominent individuals in the healthcare arena and to basically go after finding out the underlying risk factors that are causing this epidemic across our country, and especially in our young child population. And when we go after these underlying risk factors, including physiological, environmental, as well as nutritional risk factors, great things happen before we get kids on drugs because they do deserve a voice. And today is no exception, Kevin. We have a great special guest. He's an Emmy-nominated co-host of the award-winning talk show on ABC, The Doctors. His name is Dr. Travis Stork. He obtained his medical degree from the University of Virginia with honors, and now he's got a great book out, Kevin. It's called The Doctor's Diet Cookbook, and it's a great holiday addition to any family. And Dr. Stork, welcome aboard today.
Thank you both so much for having me.
Dr. Stork, tell us a little bit about the background of the program, The Doctors, which I have seen a few times, which I think is really, I was shocked how entertaining it was. Don't get me wrong. I'm just kind of leery of medical talk anyway, and you guys have made a very interesting program. Talk a little bit about the story behind that.
Well, I still remember when we first started the show 7 years ago, and that was, I'll tell you right now, that was a concern I had. It was this concern of, how do you make medicine interesting for an hour every day of the year? And I think we've hit that balance between useful information that people can use, having a good time, pulling the cloak back a little bit so that our viewers now understand, look, we're physicians, but we're also human beings, so that people are a little less afraid when they interact with their own doctor. But most importantly, I've always said that good health happens in between doctor's visits. It's really important to have a great relationship with your doctor, but we should all be the CEO of our own health. And what's really cool about The Doctors is we try to equip our viewers with some of those tools that they can use every day, and we call it dinner time conversation. Maybe you learn a tip on the show, and then you share it with your family, and then someone at the dinner table shares it with their friend, and they share it with their family, because so many things we do in our daily lives can improve how well and how long we live.
Yep.
It's just a lot of times people don't know what those things are.
Yeah, Dr. Stewart, by the way, the segment's about 8 minutes. Just want to put that in mind. I know we have a lot of questions. Frank, your first question?
And Dr. Stork, the show that you're co-hosting right now, and like you say, you got to make it interesting and fun for people, especially families that are battling, and I'd like to focus in on the ADHD condition, especially in our young child population. Do you feel we're making a change or kind of a crossroads, if you will, in that assessment process? And I know doctors are kind of handcuffed now to get as many patients in as they can, and drug therapy in the past used to be the primary intervention. But do you think, like you are doing and teaching people how to prevent illness before it happens, do you really think we're getting a change in that assessment process, kind of like what you're doing with education across the country?
Well, let me talk about this broadly, because since I'm not a pediatrician, I do not diagnose and treat ADHD, but I do think that you talk about a really interesting point, which is one of the things I've tried to do is really highlight to people out there simple concepts, everything from, okay, how can food be our medicine? How can other things we do in our daily lives be used in place of medicine when possible? Medicine doesn't always, when I say medicine, I'm talking about prescription, doesn't always have to be the first step. And sometimes it can be avoided altogether. And I do think that there's a lot of education that remains to be done. I think that people don't always realize, and maybe haven't even had the conversation about, okay, this is what's going wrong. What are things I can do in my life or my child's life to improve symptoms, to potentially avoid ever having to go on medication. And look, if you tune into the doctors, you're going to hear me screaming from the rooftops year in and year out that overtreatment is a major issue in our healthcare system. It's about getting the right treatment for the right people and utilizing every option. And that's a global thing I believe in. I'm a big believer that we should really look at every option and that it's not always just about writing a prescription. And that's true for almost every illness that we treat. I do think that my last comment on this is everyone has created a mindset in this country where if you come into the ER, you're upset if you walk out without a prescription. And I just think universally it's worth reconnecting with some of the other things that we can do in addition to treatment when necessary to maximize our health.
Dr. Travis Stork, he has been with us. He's with The Doctors. By the way, that's thedoctorstv.com. Great show. I got to tell you, I was shocked how much I enjoyed it. We got about 2 minutes left. Why don't you wrap it up for us, Frank? And by the way, you can learn more about Frank at CAOOY.org.
Yeah, Dr. Stork, the Doctor's Diet Cookbook, I looked through that, and that can be purchased anywhere across the country at any bookstore, but also on Amazon.com. And I was amazed on how vivid the pictures are, and it's great for families, when they're looking at something to help with nutrition and kind of get kids involved and how to make it fun. Explain how you kind of basically went into that with your editors as far as the pictures and things like that. Do you feel it's making a breakthrough as far as getting kids and families to kind of go towards positive health with nutrition?
Well, it's important. If you're going to get your family or even yourself to eat healthy, it has to be fun, it has to be intriguing, it has to taste great. And I tried with this cookbook to make healthy eating fun. And the biggest thing, especially with kids, is you teach kids early on that vegetables can be really tasty if cooked the right way. They're going to love them for the rest of their lives. I personally grew up hating vegetables, and I had to learn how to eat them and make them in a way that was tasty to me. And so, if nothing else, this cookbook highlights how if you eat the colors of the rainbow, food truly can be your medicine in many ways, and you can really get your kids involved in the kitchen. Let them pick the fruits and veggies. Let pizza be a veggie delivery system. If you're going to go and have fun and make nachos, make them in a healthy way, and I have a ton of recipes in the book on how to achieve that.
Yeah, how to cheat in a healthy sort of way. I like that. All right, thanks to both of you gentlemen.
Thanks for being on, Dr. Stork.
Yeah, and when is the show on? When is The Doctors on, Doctor?
You know what? If people check thedoctorstv.com, we're on at different time periods in every market, so check it out. And but unfortunately, we're not on the universal time.
Yep, I understand. Make sure you check it out at thedoctorstv.com. I'm Kevin Price. You're listening to The Price of Business.